Thank you for joining me again. Today I want to talk about how to keep one's power when confronted by a narcissist or a psychopath. How not to fall victim, fall prey to the predator. And in recent weeks I've had to address this as a doctor, supporting employees, two employees in particular, who've been bullied in their workplace. The first one was obviously a very capable young woman working in a cafe. Because the population here in Auckland has expanded, there are many cafes, and it may well be that the employers think that they can be tough on their staff to such an extent as they are doing at the moment. Now, a lot of really great employees out there, obviously, in many cafes, run very smoothly. But in this particular case, the lady who was obviously doing the work of 6 people, she's saying, was constantly being picked on and bullied to such an extent that she was having anxiety attacks and panic attacks. And of course, like with everybody, as we've discussed before, there's trauma upon trauma. May well have been trauma in when this lady was young, and many other times. But on this occasion, it was getting pretty well impossible for her to work. I have to make a judgment call with people as well, and my impression was that she was a very articulate and diligent person, and really was being bullied. I don't know if the bully, if the employer in this case was a psychopath or not, or maybe just a narcissist or a generally difficult person. But we discussed how we were going to get round this. Well, the first thing, of course, to do, as we've said before, is try to get out of that relationship. And that may not be easy in the current job market. However, it's important for one's health for that to happen. And so the first thing I did was reassure her that I thought she was a really quality, nice person who other employers really would be very lucky to have. So the first thing I think is, if one is a friend or an advisor to somebody in this situation, give them as much support as possible. Use your good judgment on that. I also was only too happy to sign her off for 2 weeks, because she's actually was looking for a job and had handed in her notice, but had 2 weeks to play out, and even that was going to prove very difficult for her. So I have no qualms at all about doing that. It's very good preventative medicine. And again, one has to use one's judgment on that, but that was important. And the other good point about her was that she said that her stepfather was in fact an employment lawyer, and instructed me how to write this certificate, well, through her, of course. So this is another thing to do, is that if you're confronted by somebody like this, then it is important to know that for that person to know that you have friends, but also have people who can support you in a professional way. Therefore, it's up to all of us to support the person. And therefore, that entitlement that this person may be using, this abuser, if you like, may be using, can be somehow stifled by these actions. So therefore, one of the things that people have over and above the extreme narcissist, the malignant narcissist, the psychopath and sociopath, is that they have true friends, and true friends that can support them, and friends who know friends, and therefore can not only just support the people going through this, and this is the same for any relationship that one might have with a narcissist or a psychopath, but can also produce results like this. I recently saw on the internet, on YouTube, a wonderful video of a tree that's populated by green ants. Not very pleasant things, basically, if one one is in their vicinity. But basically this tree, somewhere in the tropics, I think it was tropical North Queensland, was populated by literally hundreds of thousands of these ants. Now, then appeared in this tree this thing called a tree scorpion, which is about 100 times bigger than the ants, and it ventured up onto a leaf. And of course this is, in the insect world anyway, and in our world as well, not a very pleasant big insect, big creature with a powerful sting in its tail. But the ants were able to communicate with each other, as ants do, through detecting each other's smells, pheromones, and other types of connection that keep the colony together. Something called quorum sensing is thought to occur, and rally round and have a plan to dismantle this creature. And 2 or 3 of them nipped off its horrible sting and carried it away, and either ate it or discarded it or whatever. So the moral of that story is that is community. Community is the way. If you feel that there's a monster in your midst that's overpowering you, then we bring the community in to support us, because like the ants, we have good connections. It could be said that the Arab Spring in Egypt occurred because of Twitter. Many other, I suppose, modern revolutions have occurred through communication, and that to me is how we're going to say goodbye to psychopaths and narcissists. There was one further consultation I had recently where I saw, this was in fact last week, a lady came to me and she'd seen another doctor early on in the week, and she'd been very sick. And she was having chest pain and stomach pain and vomiting, and was in a very poor condition. She was in her mid-50s, I think. Anyway, the previous doctor had seen her, done a lot of tests, advised her to rest. She came to see me 4 or 5 days later, and I said, look, the tests are better. She'd also had, the tests that were in fact all right, but had shown that she had quite a severe viral illness. They'd done some heart checks on her, and they had been normal. But she'd been in a poor way, and she was looking very, very tired. And I said, well, how have you been getting on? She said, well, I've been working all week, and my employer, once the employer found out that I wasn't having a heart attack, kindly suggested that I should be working as a machinist all week. To which I was fairly concerned, and I said, well, look, I'm not sure if this job is doing you a lot of good, if that's the case. Have you had any other occasions during this job to feel uncomfortable? And she says, absolutely yes, I feel I'm being bullied. And I said, well, you're being bullied this week because you certainly have shouldn't been working in this situation. So I gave her a note to be off that day, which was a Friday, and the following Monday. I said, at least you're going to need this time to recover. An hour later, the employer phoned me through the practice, I thought as a concerned person, but started to tell me off that this was only a viral illness, and she herself had viral illnesses and of course continued to work. And why was it, in fact she started abusing me, why was it that I felt this way? And I said, well, it's my job, and you know, I feel that very strongly that she should have been off work for more days. To which she replied to me that in fact she thought I was the problem, and she slammed the phone down. Now, within those 90 seconds, one can identify certain things about people. First of all, she felt important enough to phone through to a doctor's surgery who was busy to tell them this. Secondly, she didn't particularly show a lot of compassion in what she was saying. I did understand that she may be running a business and was under pressure. So I'm not labelling her a psychopath, although she was beginning to tick some of the boxes. And certainly she felt entitled to be in this position. And then at the end, of course, when she asked me why I made this decision, and she made this comment that I was the problem, she showed what many extreme narcissists and even psychopaths say. They try to turn it around, that they are in fact the victim to the situation. And also blamed me for the whole problem, which means they were gaslighting, so I ticked a few points there. So, moral of all these stories is that don't, please, if you're in the situation of being bullied at work, whether it's from somebody you think is a psychopath or just generally nasty, talk about it to your friends, because the chances are you'll have a lot more friends than this person. Pull rank, use a professional, and somehow outrank them, outmaneuver them, because you are generally more smart. You're generally more smart than they are. Certainly have more emotional intelligence. And please subscribe here and give me some feedback about this. God bless you. Bye. Cheerio.